We are back with the second part of our giant nutcracker royal icing transfer cookie. And I promise, if you have ever been intimidated about watercoloring a royal icing transfer, this video is going to change things for you. I'm going to show you just how easy it is. This is a perfect method if you really despise mixing up paint colors or icing colors. It can be a very time-consuming job. And so this is a perfect way to just use white icing and then watercolor your icing transfer, which is basically like a large sprinkle is all it is. So here I'm just putting some dabs of food coloring onto a plate, and I used various colors. I wanted to keep it a neutral colored palette, but some of the items I used was Americolor food coloring. That is mainly the brand that I use for food coloring, and I use the gel food coloring. And then also, in this video, I believe I only diluted it with plain water, and that green cup you see in the video is just water, and I used a paintbrush, dipped it in my water, and then put it in my paint. You don't want your paint to be too wet when you put it on your royal icing transfer, because you don't want it to break down your dried royal icing. You want to work kind of fast, and if there's anywhere that you want to go over more than once, just let it dry completely, and then you can go back to it and put more color on. Some of the colors I used, okay, so now I'm opening up no, I'm not. Is that Wilton's food coloring? Yeah, it is. The ivory color. So I don't have an ivory in the Americolor, but I did have this Wilton one. And Wilton food coloring works just fine also. I like Americolor because you can buy it in really small packages, the little containers, and they come out in a squeezy bottle, and you don't have to get like a toothpick or something to dip out your icing. And they come in a ton of colors. So if you have a lot of the colors or get the colors you use a lot of, then it eliminates having to mix colors and that time-consuming process it takes to get colors just right how you want them. So basically I just wet my paintbrush just a little bit and then put a little bit of coloring on it and then paint the transfer. If you mess up and you get color somewhere you don't want it to be, you can always go back in. I would wait until it dries a little bit and just take a clean, wet paintbrush, and you can swipe off that area. If it doesn't come off with just water, you can always use some like lemon extract or any kind of extract that has alcohol in it, or you can use vodka alcohol on a paintbrush and erase it also. So I'm sorry, my head is kind of in the way during some of this. I will move at different times, and I promise my videos will get better as I get this set up a little more figured out. But I painted the boots black, as you can see, and it was pretty heavy, so I actually ended up going back with a damp paper towel and kind of wiping some of it off after it had dried some. I'm going to go ahead and pop up here some of the different products I use for watercoloring my transfers. Like I said in the video before, this is just royal icing I piped out onto a sheet of acetate, which is non-stick. You can find it, that's food safe, on Amazon, and it works really well because it's a sturdy surface, and I always just put it on a tray and pipe it on there and leave it on that tray until it's completely dry. I don't try to lift it up off the tray or move it anywhere because you just run the risk of breaking it. You want your transfer to be completely dry before you try and peel it off. And what works better sometimes is instead of trying to lift your transfer up off of the backing, if you kind of lift the whole sheet and peel the backing from the transfer, I hope that makes sense. It will usually come off better. So one of the other things I like to use is the color solution, and I will link that, or I won't link it, but I'll put a picture here so you see what I'm talking about. If you go down to the area below the video, there will be a link to all the products that I love using for cookie decorating, and you can find anything your heart desires from this video and more. But I like using the color solution, and it's basically just an alcohol, and it's designed to be used with luster dust. Speaking of which, this is the luster dust I like to use. It is in powder form, and so you have to add liquid to it to be able to paint with it. I either use the color solution or like lemon extract or vodka. Only takes a couple drops, and my biggest tip is to mix it in the lid because you don't need very much of this powder at all. If you just put a drop of liquid in the lid, swirl it around with your paintbrush or whatever you're using, it's perfect. And then you can just put your lid back on your product. And if there's liquid in it, it's okay. It's going to dry out. So the liquid actually doesn't. Here we go. We're popping it off. This is what I'm talking about peeling it away from the transfer instead of trying to pick the transfer up off of the film. Is it going to come off in one piece? It did. So the boots are not attached. They will be attached later with the bow that you see also on the sheet. But look at it, how big it is and how good it looks. I was so happy with how that came out. If you try to peel off your transfer and it is not coming off easily and seems like it's leaving residue on your film, it is not dry. Do not try and continue to take it off. Put it back down on the sheet and let it dry some more. This great big transfer took about, I don't know, I think about 5 days to dry. And I have a setting on my stove that's a dehydrating mode. And so I usually turn that on, let it heat up to temperature, and then turn it off. And then set my transfer inside the oven and just leave it there. And then I try to just keep the oven light on. That generates enough heat that it helps it dry out. Stay very long because it does have alcohol in it. It evaporates really quickly. So if you have tried using luster dust before and don't really get along with mixing it with the liquid too well, which I know some people struggle with that, I would recommend trying just plain vodka with it for one. And another thing also you can do with the luster dust is you can brush your cookie or your icing or whatever you're putting it on. So like I was saying about the luster dust, you can take your liquid, like your alcohol or your color solution, whatever you're using, and brush your icing, and then take some of that powder, dry powder, on a brush and brush it onto the liquid you brushed on. It gives it a completely different look. It's not quite as bold and out there, it's more of like a metallic sheen, which is really pretty. That's another idea. Another thing is you can buy, it's not really a luster dust, but like luster solution that's already a liquid. And I will pop up the picture, the one I like here. And I absolutely love this gold. I have gone through several bottles of this. It is awesome. It is a very pretty, real looking gold color that is edible. That is the thing, is a lot of the gold people use for decorating their cookies is not an edible gold. And whether they tell their customers that or not, or advertise that or not, that's up to them. But I don't feel right doing that. And I like to use everything that's edible. I don't want to have to worry about that kind of thing. So I love this liquid gold. It is a very pretty gold color. And you just shake the bottle before you use it. It does not take very much at all. A little goes a long ways. When I do use it on this Nutcracker, I just put a couple of drops on a plate and brushed it on. Perfect. You're going to love this gold. A little tip, if you're going to be using gold luster dust or the liquid gold, if you paint yellow, even if it's just a light yellow first and let it dry and then put the gold over it, or if you're using colored icing, use a yellow shade of icing and then paint your gold on top of that, it will really make your gold stand out more. It really does make a difference, and you don't have to paint as much of it on there, as in like letting it dry and then painting more. Just a little tip. I am going to go ahead and speed up the rest of the video and cut out the pieces where my head is too much in the way that you can't see anything. If you are enjoying the series of the Giant Nutcracker, please subscribe. Please comment below and let me know what you guys think. Stay tuned because our next video is going to be making the wooden cookie frame for our Nutcracker. And when I say this frame looks like wood, I have not made cookies that look this realistic before. My mom actually came in and did not even know it was a cookie. She thought I was making a craft project or something, some kind of decoration. I was like, it's a cookie. And she was like, oh. So it looks like wood boards. So I'm so excited to show you guys. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you want, but I never do because I think that's annoying. But if you want notified when I post a video, make sure you hit it. Thanks for watching, guys. Here is the rest of the video.